In this video, we're going to go over the installation and some of the features of our aluminum front bumper for the 240, 260, and 280Z. As you can see here in the picture, this one's powder coated black, and it's the 240Z style front bumper, but we've made some accommodations so that way this can be easily put on a 280Z if you're wanting to adapt for that and have that 240Z look without the big and take off the big 5-mile-an-hour front bumper on your 280Z. So we're gonna go move to the parts car and use a raw aluminum bumper and kind of go over some of the features and how to install it. So here we are on our 280Z parts car, and I wanted to show you these front bumper conversion brackets that we have. So there's 4 pieces, 2 on each side, and you can see this plate, a little bit tricky with the shadowing, but there's a return flange up here at the top that this top bar bolts into. And so this bolts into the factory bumper bracket mounting points. And then this guy here bolts to the top of that flange, slides in and out. It can pivot. So you can use this to mount an OEM 240Z front bumper on your 280 and 260, or you can use it to mount our aluminum front bumpers. And let's get under here. Yep, there's a little bit better look. And one of the neat things about this is that this, since it's a parts car, doesn't have our grill on it, but our grills will come down and fill this opening here. And because of the way that we designed this bar goes through the grill area horizontally, so it actually fits between the grill slats, so you don't have to have a big cutout or a big notch in order to put a 240Z front bumper on a 280Z. So you've seen the 280Z front bumper brackets that we make, and this is an OEM 240Z front bumper bracket. And at the making of this video, we don't have ours ready yet for our aluminum bumper, but what we're doing is making something very similar. And these slots here are actually bigger, so you have more adjustability in and out than a factory bracket, which is going to be huge because even on a 240, a lot of the guys, including us, like to tuck the bumper in and have it a little tighter. So you'd actually have that adjustability, as well as here, you know, you'll be able to have a little bit more adjustability. So that's what's going to look different for a 240Z versus what we're going to show you today in this video mounting on a 280Z. But around the sides where it mounts into the headlight buckets will be the same. And really the mounting is going to be the same, just the bracket for a 240 is going to look a little bit different than the brackets we have here on the 280. So this is our aluminum. You already saw the aluminum and black powder coat. This is raw aluminum. So you can also get it like this if you wanted to paint it a different color or powder coat it a different color. Some of the nice things about this is that it's, you know, durable, rigid, and it's light. So the factory 240 bumpers are about 10 pounds. This is about 2 pounds. The factory ones, you know, have a lot more holes and bumperettes and things, and this eliminates that. So it's kind of a sleek, slim version. You do have a hole here and here on the front that we're going to utilize a nice stainless steel button head screw to attach it nice and easy from the outside. We'll put a nut and a washer on the back side, but it also gives you a little bit of adjustability. Again, like I said, this is going to give you some adjustability in and out, but also side to side. We've tested these on quite a few Z cars, and most of them are not quite the same as one another. They're close, but not quite perfect, so having that adjustability seems to be a necessity. And then also, we've added a hole here on the corner, again, to make it easy to install. So when you wrap that around the headlight bucket and you pop that in, you'll have a long bolt that'll go through here and a nut and a washer that'll come on the backside. But in addition to that, we're going to have some rubber spacers here that'll allow you to tighten and have a little bit of actual side adjustment in here. So we'll show you that as we get a little closer, but gives you a general idea of what we got to work with here. So first thing I've just done is just basically setting the bumper in place. I've put one of the M6 button heads and nut and washer on that side so it didn't fall off. You can see over here the hole is just open, but we're going to use the M6 button head, slide it through the bumper and the bumper bracket, fender washer on the back, and then we'll attach it with a nut. They're not all the way tight. I'm going to leave it loose because we're still going to be able to make some adjustments side to side and front to back. And so you can see here, I have more adjustment than this. I just don't want to pull it off, but you have quite a bit of adjustment here. And since the paint on this isn't something I'm trying to keep pristine, I'm doing this by myself to show you the process. But this is certainly a two-person operation. Possibly even putting some rags around the inside lips as you're adjusting it and moving it, so that way you ensure you don't scratch up your paint. So I'm going to go ahead and put this hardware in on this side. One thing to mention also about the 280Z conversion brackets is the side plate that mounts to the OEM bumper bracket slots is slotted up and down, so you can also adjust it up and down. So if you find that when you first put it on, the angle of the bumper is up a little bit, you can actually move it up and down as well as in and out. So I'm going to put this in this hole here, and then I'm going to show you what we do to mount the two outside corners. Okay, so I've got the two button heads attached to the bumper brackets, and this is pretty adjustable in and out. And so I've got it slid out to give me a little bit of space here. So we made this inside radius a little bit tighter than the factory one, so that way you can make it nice and snug around the headlight bucket. And so in order to secure the side, we've got some another washer, nut, pretty long M6 machine screw, and then a couple of these rubber bumpers. And so you're definitely going to want to make sure that someone's holding the other side. You've got like a little towel or something, because what we're going to do is we're going to kind of rock and flex this out to get both of these on the inside of this. Thread the bolt through, washer on the inside, then the nut. And at first it's going to give you a gap that's going to be bigger than you want, but you'll be able to tighten it and compress these rubber spacers. You can see that they're got a little room on the inside, and so I like to put the deeper ends in towards each other like this, and then when you tighten it, the center kind of mushrooms out. And when it does that, it gives you a really tight fit over here, so it's not loose, but it also gives you that rubber cushion. And so I'll go ahead and pop these in and show you what I'm talking about. So since this is slightly angled down, it's not too hard to get them on at this point. And then you just got to kind of flex it and line it up with this rear hole. It's slotted, the factory hole. Slide that in. Then I'm reaching up back here, put the washer on, get the nut on. You got quite a few threads back there, so you got to spin it for a minute. And then you can see here that there's a little bit of a gap, and this whole thing actually can slide back since this hole is slotted and our brackets are adjustable in and out. So but before I mess with that, I'm going to go put the screw and the rubber grommets on the rubber spacers on the other side. Okay, so I've got the spacer and the screw on the other side now too. And yeah, from this angle you can see it pretty well, this gap in that radius, but my preference is not to have that. So I'll move this back about as far as it'll go, and then I'll start tightening this side and then go to the other side to ensure that I don't get any twisting, so that way it stays back in that slot. And just to point out, there is a fair bit of pressure on these rubber spacers right now. So when I went to the other side to put it on, you do have to flex the bumper somewhat. And you don't want to have to stick a pry bar or something in there, because that's going to damage the bumper, damage your paint, and that's more pressure than really you should need. I was able to take it and rock it down like I showed you on this side and flex it out. And part of the key to that is keeping everything loose so you're able to get that in. And once you're in this point where it's just fitted, we'll be able to really start locking it down and holding this really tight and in place. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this one, go tighten the other side, and we'll take a look. So here it is looking down over the top of it, and you can see that we've got a nice little underneath that lip gap that wraps around there. It's really pretty rigid. It's got a little flex because of the rubber. I'm moving the whole car though. And so if you really wanted to and you didn't like the rubber, you could always not use the rubber spacers I provided, and you could always use some hard spacers like a little aluminum tube or stacks of washers, but the rubber ones will be what's included. And again, there's pretty wide array of adjustability, so you can kind of fine tune a lot on this to get you the look that you want. This gives you a good contrast because it's raw aluminum. Once it's on a painted car and you've got either black or color matched, it's gonna not be as noticeable, but wanted to make sure that you could see it well while we're doing the installation here. Back up a little bit. These are aluminum 240Z style front bumpers. They can go on your 240, your 260, and your 280Z. These are available from Skillard.com. Feel free to email us at sales@skillard.com if you have any questions.